So let's get into specifically, like, what specifically does Me Premier Bitcoin do, and how does it interact, and how does it teach people on a day-to-day basis and in the communities here in El Salvador?
Yes, so Me Premier Bitcoin, we are an educational organization, right? We are firmly believers that impartial, independent, community-led Bitcoin education is going to change the world.
So when you say impartial and independent, meaning you work with the government, but you're not connected?
No, yeah, exactly. We're friendly, right? We're
Sure.
friends, of course. And it's easier to do it. For example, John, that came here to the country, Bitcoin was already a legal tender. If you want to found education organization, then it's easier to do it, right? Because Bitcoin is legal tender. So we've worked, and we have actually, agreements with the Minister of Education working together. We don't work, let's say, for the government. We are independent. We are a non-profit and non-governmental organization. And so what we do is basically we want to get, to start it Salvadorians from zero to something, right? From knowing nothing about Bitcoin. Knowing that it's legal in El Salvador, but that's it. They don't know how to transact. They don't know how it works. They don't really know how money works. We didn't know, of course. I'm sure we all have an orange pill story also when it comes to the economic side of it, and you realize. So that's why we went to do. We started creating a course of 10-week program that starts with what is money, why do we need it, how does it work, history of money, the evolution of money, and then we go into Bitcoin. So we have stones and golden and silver when you used to trade back in the days, and then you got into coins and then paper, and then how we go into even people didn't even know or still don't know to this point the Nixon shock, nothing, right? So we try to teach them that.
I'm going to tell you this right now. They don't teach this in America. Most Americans don't know this stuff. I mean, that's the thing too. But what I think is part of the orange pill process for anybody. But as an American, when you really get into just learning what Bitcoin is, and then you have part of learning Bitcoin is the history of it. You learn like, the Federal Reserve is an illegal banking cartel. And you learn when Nixon took us off the gold standard, you're like, oh, that was dumb, Yes, and you learn, a lot of this is a scam.
Exactly.
And we're deliberately not taught it in the United States.
Yeah.
And America doesn't have the excuse of, we're poor. Come on, man. Yeah. Like, we're deliberately not taught this to keep us, in my opinion, locked in this system of having a job, a credit card, and being part of the central bank system. So I mean, I cannot stress enough how important it is for what Me Premier Bitcoin is doing. And also, I said this yesterday with the minister, because he's teaching this stuff too in the schools. And I'm like, again, we're not teaching American kids this. We're not taught about money. And we're deliberately taught on just how to be an employee.
Exactly.
And Bitcoin gives you financial sovereignty. So, okay, so I had to interject that. But so they're learning just the history of money and the basics of money. And now where do you go from there?
Yes, exactly. And in what you said as well, how the banks work, what's fractional reserve. This is how actually, what happens when you put your money in the bank. This is how it is, really. And then we go into Bitcoin. So when you show them, okay, there's been different forms of money throughout history. You already have digital money. If you feel like you don't touch it, now everybody sends transactions, transfers through wire, banks, and you use credit cards, you use debit cards. So let's imagine Bitcoin as it is as well. But instead of, a bank, then it uses a different system that is like the blockchain. And so we go from there, and we try to teach we do teach also how, mining works at basics, the hash, the halving, like the cycles, everything, and why Bitcoin is limited, why Bitcoin is scarce, and why it's important that your money that you have, it's limited, that it's not like the cartel that you said, right? Like when people calls Bitcoin a Ponzi scheme, they really don't know what a Ponzi scheme is then. Like
the US dollar is a Ponzi scheme. Like when you understand, like when I first, and this is only a couple of years ago, found out that a bunch of bankers got together in whatever year it was, 1918 or 1920, and created the Federal Reserve, I was like, well, that's a Ponzi scheme.
Yeah.
And Bitcoin is the antithesis of that. Bitcoin defeats this Ponzi scheme, which is why you can see why the central bankers and the politicians that they control and own are so resistant to it, because they don't want people to be empowered by this. So let's talk about too about what's specific to countries like El Salvador, which is the minister was talking about this yesterday, is like many people in the rural parts of El Salvador don't have bank accounts and would never have a bank account because they'd have to travel 2-3 hours on a bus to come to San Salvador, open up a bank account. And they're going to have to do that every time to deal with, and they're not even going to deal with that. So how important is Mi Premier Bitcoin in that percentage of the population that never even had access to a bank, but they have a smartphone?
Exactly. Yeah, everybody loses a smartphone, right? That's exactly what I was thinking when I was on my way coming to the studio. It's like, oh my God, I almost forgot my wallet. But because you don't even think about that, you have your money on your phone. So to me, if I forget my wallet, it's just because I forget my ID. But other than that, you have your money with you. So that creates the big difference. I think when we try to teach people and you want to go into the rabbit hole that you've already been through, it's hard. Like, we don't have to start there. It's just basically to show them what is useful for them, what's the utility of having Bitcoin or saving a little bit or receiving payments of Bitcoin. If the lady from the tienda or the pupusas wants to accept Bitcoin, why is it easier? They start from there. They start from, receiving, knowing how to send and receive Bitcoin. Because let's say with Mi Primer Bitcoin and the program, we go through all ages, right? Like normally teenagers, 15, 16 years old. But we also go into the communities where are young adults that are just open enrollments that thanks to, certain governors that are friendly and they'd like to, the community and they want to, of course, help Bitcoin adoption. They open their localities, the locals that they have in order to teach local people. They just put an announcement, they put it on the social media. People just go to the local establishment to receive a class. So for them it's like, oh, okay, so that means that it exists something else that I don't have to. And even now, paying bills in El Salvador, we live in a little bubble. When I travel now more, I see how we can live on a Bitcoin standard here. You have these apps like Bitterfield. I can pay all my bills, electricity, my cards, and on Bitcoin. Wow. By the supermarket, if you go to the main supermarket here, Super Selectos. So once you teach people that the money that they are receiving, that if a foreign year, a tourist, a surfer is paying you in Bitcoin, you can use it, then of course they start. And then you start also with all of these other things of, yes, the fractional reserve. And because of course they're going to see, and of course in the short term, Bitcoin, the volatility, the price is different. That's why it's also so important, like Blink and all of these that have stable sats, because it gives people that security that they want to feel a little bit. But when they see that even a storage more value, even with volatility on the long term, people leave it on Bitcoin. They keep it on Bitcoin. For example, us at Mi Primer Bitcoin, all staff, all our employees, we get paid on Bitcoin. And it's very little what I have to switch now to dollars. Like it's just almost nothing that I can go to the ATM, that you ATM and withdraw cash. It's just certain things that I have to, like give to my family or things. But other than that, I can keep it on my wallet and we pay. We started this year a policy of 100% in Bitcoin. So all our donations that go, they stayed in Bitcoin. And of course, this was a tricky decision at first. We're like, okay, we might lose a little bit more money, we might gain, but we wanted to live what we preach, right? So it's like, Bitcoin is the solution. We're not going to switch to dollars. We're not going to buy a property. We're just going to keep it. This is the money we're receiving, and we go with it. So it's steps like this. Of course, it's a journey, and it's a long way since 2001 when the organization started to the first Bitcoin diploma that we give at a school in 2002, July 2002, up to last year that we taught, I don't know, maybe probably over 50,000 students in person on top of, all these little projects. Those are in person.
You taught 50,000 students in person last year.
That will be along with introductory classes that are short, and then also the Bitcoin diploma with the students in graduations. And then thanks, to the Bitcoin office here in El Salvador, we started this pilot program with the Ministry of Education that was first to teach 150 teachers from the public school system. These 150 teachers will go to their local schools to implement the program that was created also with the help of Bitcoin Beach and Mi Primer Bitcoin, the book, let's say, the workbook that they will use. And they go, and we can see, that's the thing, right? We get an information and we put it to the best. Like, you're a creative person, right? So you're gonna do what you can with your skills to put it into place in order to build more people. So the same of the teachers, they actually didn't teach the classes how we did it. They used different things. They put it to dramatizer. They did it in a classroom environment. But the point come across, right? We do activities, we do an auction to show inflation. There is just this little game of, with money, this is a monopoly bill and this is a dollar bill, right? Like, why do you think that this is value and this is not? It's just simple. It doesn't have to be super complicated. So we teach, especially all the money, the 5 chapters of the book that is about money, with activities. We try to start with an activity discussion, because that's what happens as well. We live in a system that doesn't teach us critical thinking. They don't want us to question anything. So if you start asking questions, and what is money? What does it serve? Why do you think it should keep value? Just questions that we never ask ourselves. We never ask. We just keep this rat race trying to earn more dollars, but there is no end. So, and I think it basically covers everything that we do, right? Like expresses, if you want to buy something because you like it, but you don't have the means to do so, then it represses something on you. And same with the young students. Like, if you go and ask them right now, what are your dreams? What do you want to be when you're older? But you're hearing these conversations from your parents that life is hard and that everything is so expensive, then there is just no joy or no hope for the future. So it's both education. We want to give hope. And like you said, we want to empower people. We want to empower to take agency on your life. If you control your money, then you control, your power, your present, your future.
That's amazing, and it's really cool that you guys are doing this on such a grassroots level. You're just getting it done, and it's the thing that so impresses me about just El Salvador in general, is all of these like Bitcoin Beach and Mi Premier Bitcoin and all of these other sometimes just individual people want to, how do we help? How do we bring our skill set to this?